This is Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi.
Let's talk about a house you would never want to end up in. Not for dinner, not for drinks, not even if your Uber dropped you off there by accident. You'd be like, really? This is not what it's taking me back to where I came from. I'll pay you extra. Fine, that's cool. Just take me back, please. I think if you really want to walk by the house, quite honestly, it kind of gives off those vibes. Rex Heuermann's Massapequa Park home wasn't just outdated and cluttered. It was the stuff of true crime nightmares. This is where the alleged Gilgo Beach serial killer Heuermann lived, worked, and apparently hoarded a catalog of disturbing, twisted artifacts that now doubles as evidence in one of the most unsettling serial murder cases in recent memory. We're going to go through 5 of the most disturbing pieces of evidence that have been pulled out of that home and just take a little look-see at them. Maybe they mean something. Maybe they mean nothing. Maybe they're just creepy and weird and the type of thing you'd find in a hoarder's home. We'll talk about all of them. And while we do, let me know what you think in the comments section on YouTube. If you're listening to this on the podcast platform, excellent. Hit subscribe wherever it is you're listening, but also check us out on YouTube. Search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi and join us there. You can watch us do the show. You can see the stuff we're going to be talking about, and there's a lot of extras there for you as well. So please, if you want to have a conversation, let your voice be heard about this, that's the best place to do it on our YouTube channel, Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. So, continuing on. Now, we know the guy is an architect by trade. But based on what investigators found inside, he was building something far more sinister than homes. What they pulled from that house feels like it came straight from a horror set designed by someone who binge-watched every episode of Criminal Minds and took notes. We're not talking about your average stash of weird collectibles either. We're talking full-blown, call the FBI, burn the house down type energy. Let's start with a child-sized doll in the glass case. We actually have an image of this one because a lot of the items in his home have not been pictured. They've been described. And we're going to describe them in great, great detail. But this one, we have a visual cue. So this is the glass doll. Dusty. Looks like it was locked in a museum exhibit for decades, wearing a frilly old-fashioned dress with blonde curls and a red ribbon. Just sitting there watching. This is one of the few images that we have of this actual doll. Let's zoom in a little bit as best as we can here on it. This is the doll in the case. It's hard to get a huge sense of what it looks like, but you get a sense of the case, and it looks kind of like something out of Ed and Lorraine Warren's Occult Museum. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is like Annabelle. Or could it be absolutely nothing? Is this just a creepy thing the guy had in his basement that used to be his childhood bedroom that he later turned into a gun room, and later the gun room created another room off to the side of that no one in the house was ever allowed to enter no matter what? But remember, as Asa said, there's no secrets with Rex Heuermann. He's an open book. An open book with that in the basement. So this was there. This was in the house because, of course it was. It wasn't just decorative. This thing was a focal point of, I don't know what it was the focal point of. Let's hope it wasn't like some sort of twisted altar that it was the focal point of, because it looks like it could kind of be that. Now, I know that's a bit speculative and all that, and obviously Rex Heuermann is innocent until proven guilty, and he has denied the charges against him, as has his wife, Asa Elrod. But you got one of these dolls in your house like this? I don't know. Either you're an 85-year-old grandmother in 1988, or you're Rex Heuermann. Experts believe it could have served as a psychological stand-in for Heuermann's alleged victims. Not quite a trophy, not quite a tool, but somewhere disturbingly in between. Especially when you learn he had reportedly searched for highly disturbing and inappropriate content involving minors. the juxtaposition of the creepy doll and those search patterns, it's not quirky, it's pathology. What do you think about the doll? Is this just a weird thing in the house? I mean, it is a hoarder type house. It's in pretty rough shape. Looks like a lot of randomness has been collected there. This was his childhood home as well. Is this a remnant of maybe mom's stuff, grandma's stuff that's just still there? I don't know. Then there's the portrait. And I use the term loosely because this was no family heirloom. It was a massive wall-mounted image of a woman with a black eye and dilated pupils, looking like she just stepped out of a nightmare. Some neighbors thought it was abstract art. Investigators thought it looked like a little too on the nose, given the victims. You don't need a PhD in criminal profiling to understand the guy who hangs a bruised, terrified woman on his wall might be using it as a visual cue for something darker. Psychologists say individuals who commit serial crimes often surround themselves with triggers that remind them of their acts. That's true. This portrait wasn't just a core, it was a window into Heuermann's alleged fantasy loop. And I'm sorry, if you are Asa Elrup and talking about what a lovely family man this guy is and how everything was so normal and lovely and hunky-dory and you went on all the vacations by yourself and Rex never went, and how this is just not him. Why does he have this artwork? But I think Asa is someone who was able to just see these things as normal because they were normalized to her. I don't think it was until the media scrutiny happened, once he was charged, once people started looking into their lives and seeing what was out there and people going, whoa, that's in your house? I'm guessing they were kind of like, yeah, and? I mean, what, doesn't other people have this in there? No, they don't. But when you're so close to that kind of sickness, that kind of thinking, those sort of things seem normal to you. So I'm not saying that as a super criticism of Asa. It's trying to understand how she and those kids lived in that environment for so long and thought nothing was up. Because Rex made not normal, allegedly. So you got the picture, you got the doll. That's not even close to the worst part. No, the real horror, that horror show lived inside his computer. Investigators pulled up a Word document from the digital graveyard of his hard drive, a disturbing planning file, literally. Kind of make Hannibal Lecter go, dude, maybe tone it down a little bit. It was meticulously organized as a document. 87 entries. It laid out how to pick a victim, how to transport her, what to clean up, and what not to forget for next time. One note said, get enough rest before playtime. Like he was penciling in violence between brunch and errands. Another said, use stronger material next time. Because the lighter one broke, alleged criminal trial and error. Totally normal stuff. Oh, and it gets worse. The document didn't just read like a plan, it matched the actual crime scenes. The body prep instruction mirrored how the Gilgo Beach victims were found, washed, dismembered, and bagged. He even wrote about using push pins in the ceiling to hold up plastic sheeting. I got the air out of my fans were going, and I am a little bit chilly right now, but that made me, that gives you more chills right there. Later, cops found pinholes in the basement drywall. Wasn't fantasy, it was a to-do list with real-life applications. You could practically hear them. You can practically hear the theme from Seven playing in the background. Remember that movie, Seven? Go back and watch it. It's an oldie. I hesitate to say goodie, but it was a messed up one. Let's not ignore the gun vault. That's right, a walk-in vault. Hidden in his basement, stocked with nearly 300 firearms. Like you do. Not all display pieces, not family heirlooms. We're talking rifles, handguns, ammo, you name it. He was ready to take on the world. The man had more weapons than a small-town militia. Law enforcement was especially concerned because he wasn't even licensed for all of them. It wasn't just an arsenal, it was a red flag parade. In the context of everything else that they had found, this vault wasn't about hobby or sport. It looked a lot more like contingency planning. And finally, the icing on this rotten cake. The stash of extreme and violent digital content. Not the kind that pops up in a sketchy corner of the internet and vanishes. This was curated, saved, cataloged, thousands of files depicting disturbing imagery involving violence against women, minors, many echoing the exact conditions the Gilgo Beach victims endured. What does that say when someone not only views that kind of content, but organizes it? It says it's not about impulse anymore, it's about rehearsal. According to experts, this wasn't just consumed for gratification, it was possibly used to fuel a violent mindset. So what does all this add up to? You have a guy who allegedly murdered at least 4 women, and possibly more, and lived in a house filled with cues, potential trophies, and outlines of horrific intent. The doll, the portrait, the document, the guns, the digital files, none of these are crimes on their own. But together, they paint a portrait of a man who didn't just fantasize about violence. He allegedly designed his life around it. His house wasn't just his home, it was his lair. Allegedly. If proven guilty, Heuermann won't just be remembered for what he did. He'll be remembered for the haunted museum he lived in while doing it. A place where darkness wasn't hidden in the shadows. It was framed, stored, and disturbingly preserved. And he raised a family in it as well. What are your thoughts on the Heuermann house? What they found there? What was normalized as being there? Do these things mean anything? Are these just weird, creepy clues? At the end of the day, really won't make it to trial. Very circumstantial. Just, well, you know, people have Netflix too, and they have horrible shows on there. Some people have weird abstract art. His daughter, obviously, draws a lot of abstract, creepy art. I mean, no way am I saying she was involved in this, but I'm saying you grew up in a house like that. You might be into some dark stuff. You might have a disposition that goes in that way. Not that you did anything wrong or have anything wrong with you or that you were exposed to anything directly. But living in that sort of a depressed environment for all of your upbringing and childhood, yeah, it makes sense. I hope she's able to get some happiness and find some sort of peace in life now that she seems to have kind of accepted that her dad is who he very likely is, allegedly. Asa's still on the Rex boat. Will she stay there? I don't know. Give me your thoughts in the comment section. If you're not on YouTube with us yet, please do check it out. Search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi and press subscribe so you don't miss any of the stories that we follow for you right here. Then you can comment on this case too and let us know what your thoughts are. If you're listening on the podcast platforms, first hit subscribe, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart. We're everywhere you get podcasts. So wherever you are, hit subscribe there. And also do check out our YouTube so you get more stuff from us there as well. You can watch our reporting every single day. We put out tons of pieces every day, so you can sit back on your phone, watch it on YouTube TV, whatever you want. But do press subscribe and check that out. Until next time, for all of us here at the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today, I'm Tony Bruschi. We'll talk again real soon.
Craving non-stop true crime updates? Press subscribe now and get the latest cases, analysis, and expert commentary delivered straight to your feed. Only from the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today.